This is an SM Media production. Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. Scott McPike here, I'm going to be the host again and I'm joined this week by Mark Clelland. Mark, how are we getting on, mate?
I'm not bad, man. How are you?
Not bad, mate. Thanks very much for coming on.
Good. No, anytime, no problem.
You ready to chat away about the weekend's games?
Aye, bursting to start on. Bursting, I've got plenty to talk about.
It's been a good week. Lot of big games, a lot of big stories. So we'll get right into it. We'll start with Celtic kicked off the week with a 5-0 victory over Ross County. A pretty dominant display. How do you think about
that? Aye, they did. 5-0, 5 different goal scorers. It seemed like Celtic lined up differently. They played 3-5-2, but they went with a Jetty and Edward up top. But I think that Jetty's a wee bit. We've managed to find a striker to back up Edward now. I mean, I think he's scored in his last 3 games, I think.
Do you think it looks a good signing?
Aye, he does look tidy, to be fair. Looks alright. It looks, I think, for the money they've got, it's alright. But I think he looks like he's a wee bit heavy. I think he just looks a wee bit on the big side. I don't know if it's maybe just the way he's built for that, but I think it could be a good signing for Celtic. Long-term backups, I think potentially Griffiths could be at the door.
Yeah.
But obviously there are a lot of personal issues and stuff, background issues with Griffiths in the last couple of months now, so I think he could be potentially at the door. Along with Ball and goalie, obviously he left this week to go to Istanbul Başakşehir in Turkey. So, no, I think they looked alright. They looked decent. The only thing I think problem-wise with Celtic was I thought Shane Duffy was a bit. He got a goal, but kind of the mistake. I thought he could have got sent off. The ball came over the top of the keeper. The keeper, obviously playing in the back. Bit of a dodgy one. The guy playing down Premier League, got a bit of experience now playing for Brighton and that, but I just a bit iffy at the back. I thought there when they did a bit the full jink.
I think obviously he's still got up to speed. I don't think he's obviously not been playing for a few weeks, but he got on he scored for Ireland the other night and he's got on the score sheet. He will be a very, very good signing for Celtic, I think, Shane Duffy. I think he was kind of a bit shaky during the game, but
during the week as well, he had a bit of a stinker as well. I seen I didn't watch the Ireland game, but I seen there was a clip on Twitter. I think the ball came to him at the back. I don't know if it led to a goal of that, I'm not sure. All I seen was the ball at the back and it was like a hot tap at his feet. He was just struggling and just hit the ball out. But the Celtic fans ran and raving about it. It could be a good signing, a good Premier League experience. But I think when it comes to, I think it kind of looks like Julian a wee bit. And when he got a bit of physicality on him, I think he could crumble. I think the first Old Firm coming up, if whoever's playing up top for Rangers, if it's going to be Eaton, Roof, or Morelos will ragdoll them too, I think. Same with any physical striker. I mean, Lyndon Dykes done it before he went down south to Julian a couple of times. The boy Kabamba done it as well to Julian, boy Kelly. But I don't know, like they're good in the air, physical, good forward, got a good presence obviously at the back, but I think they need to tidy up a wee bit. I mean, they're there to be taken, do you know what I mean? The 2 centre halves. I mean, they obviously rotated with you get 2 centre halves in the score sheet well with Duffy and Ayer, but I think a wee bit of physicality on the 2 centre halves could crumble. That's just a big solid centre forward.
Yeah, I think the 3-5-2 will suit Celtic going forward. They done pretty well with it last year. Like it does give them a bit more freedom going forward. I would say the only kind of reservations I would have for it is I don't think James Forrest is going to be a natural wing back.
No, he's not.
Like I think he's been off the boil pretty much anyway. But if you're giving him kind of defensive things to worry about, I think you're taking away from his game. Just touching on that though, like, do you think you touched on like Ajeti? I think he's been a great piece of business. I think already we're just seeing that his intelligence just looks very good. Obviously, still to get fit. I think there was a thing as well. He's only played something like 18 minutes before he signed for Celtic in the whole of the year. So he's still to get kind of match fitness, but he does look good. Kilmarnock got on the score sheet again. I think he could be a good option coming off the bench. But Edward's back in the team, and you just see he scored after a minute. It was a pretty easy penalty he scored, but there's so much different when he's in the team. They're just a better team when he's playing.
I think there's a couple of folk have spoken to that recently, maybe the last couple of weeks now. The difference with Edward is he doesn't look interested off the ball, but see when he gets it, his feet is like
Yeah.
I think it was the goal he scored in the qualifying round against the Icelandic mob. I mean, his feet is tidy. I mean, there was 5 defenders just take the pass from like in there. But
Yeah.
good to see with obviously Kamala come in. Don't know about him. He's a bit hot and cold for me. I don't know what the script is. I think obviously with the European games we're leaving him out, obviously they get beat. But I don't know. Lennon's obviously he's got to put a bit of confidence in Jet. You know, Jet's delivered. He's played in the team. He's getting goals. So could be a bit of business. I'm not going to lie. I don't even know how a clue who Jetty was for. I knew he was at West Ham. Never seen him play that. So he's obviously just going to annoy with him. But I think obviously Celtic's had their eye on him pretty well. So.
Yeah, that's good. Looks a good piece of business. We'll just touch on Ross County quickly. They did have some early chances to kind of get on the score sheet. They just didn't take their chances. The first half they looked pretty solid. I don't think Celtic were fully at it to start with, but Ross County were kind of keeping in the game. When they got to the second half, it was kind of game over, and they were just trying to.
The penalty they gave away.
I think that kind of showed them.
As soon as the arm of Edward get grabbed, he's down the ground, he's looking straight away. It's kind of no the referee blotted. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But just that point as well. Like what about Ross County gaffer that Stuart Kettlewell? What is the double of David De Gea? So honestly, I think actually see if you put Count Dracula and De Gea together, that's what you get. You get Stuart Kettlewell. I think
I think you're right. I think it does stand out pretty good. Celtic are up to third in the league. They have the chance to go second. Their goal difference is pretty good, so they could potentially be top of the league by the time kind of Rangers play Hibs on Sunday. Celtic will beat St Mirren easy on Wednesday night. I think we'll touch on. We'll make kind of predictions for that later on. But Celtic are up to third. Ross County still stay fifth. They've had a decent start to the season, but a 5-0 win for Celtic, kind of business as usual for them. Ed Nelstad and that, or just a dominant display for Celtic.
It's going to be easy 3 points for Celtic. Yeah. Obviously, that's 5 different goal scorers. Do you know what I mean? 2 centre halves on the score sheet as well. But in the same token as well, you touched on their goal difference. Goals that have conceded have been a wee bit iffy. So
yeah, we'll move on to Rangers. They were at Ibrox and comfortably won 4-0 against Dundee United. Again, 4 different scorers: Kent, Tavernier, Roof and Arfield got on the score sheet. It was a great dominant Rangers performance. I thought they were excellent from start to finish. I could say probably the whole team. You could say every player on the team deserves credit for how well they played. I would just touch on a few. I thought Stephen Davis was tremendous. I thought just from start to finish he controlled the game. Ryan Kent scored the goal, was absolutely tremendous, but Davis and Kent and the 2 centre halves always stand out to me. 7 games without conceding a goal, Mark. They're getting better at defending, but going forward they're getting so much better, and we just 4 different goal scorers. It was just a pretty good performance.
It was tidy. I thought it was good on the eye. Started the game full throttle. I thought straight in Dundee United's face. Obviously, a bit of beef with Dundee United in the past. The Rangers obviously was going to be a wee bit of bite. I personally thought myself that obviously Rangers the last couple of games not conceded a goal. Been all right. I thought the Hamilton game they could have killed off Mod. I mean, 2-0 up after 1 minutes. They could have dominated the game. The second half a wee bit poor. I thought they could have went on more. I think completely different mindset with the first game. Going forward, were excellent, really tidy, good on the eye. Loads of little one-touch passing moves, some shifting across Dundee United. But I was quite disappointed with Dundee United because I watched the Celtic Dundee game and I thought they were good. They tried to, Celtic obviously dominated midfield with Brown and McGregor and that, but I thought they gave him a game. The boy Butcher, when they played Celtic game, was decent. As Terry Butcher's son. I thought Dundee United were poor, dead flag. Obviously, the first goal goes in. Obviously, you're away from home. You know you're up against it. Obviously, Rangers have been really good recently. Kent is a stand-up performance. It was excellent. But this is what I thought the difference with Kent last season to now. Like, he's got to live up to that £7 million price tag. He's got to. I felt like Rangers were obviously relying on Morelos last year. Morelos isn't the same beast as he was last year. Obviously, issues on and off the park with Morelos, but I knew Kent stood up and thought, right, I need to actually. There's teams down south. There's obviously the bid rejected for Leeds to go down there. I think he's probably done the right thing and think about his career and think, go down there, stay up here, play more football, get more games on my belt. I mean, he's still a young lad, get more games on his belt, and then eventually go down south. But I think now he's took it on board, he's realised he's actually going to step up a notch. I mean, apart from last season, apart from the goal at Parkhead, he didn't really chip in much, I don't
Nah.
Much he did. He obviously scored in Europe and that, obviously Braga and that, but big goals. But I think he's going to step up a notch and just kind of go for it. I mean, obviously Jones, the problem with Jones and Gerrard and that now, Kent's had a wee bit too easy. He knows he's going to be one of the first names in the park.
Yeah.
So right now, Rangers like with Daniel Johnson to Preston, obviously.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that.
Obviously, Kent now's ramped up his game, which is good. He's starting to live up to that £7 million price tag. But just a couple of times, obviously, with Jack, Ryan Jack being out injured, it's going to be a big loss. Hopefully, don't know how long it's going to be. Morelos as well with European games coming up, obviously away to Lincoln Red Imps. So we just need to see how that pans out. But I thought it was a pretty solid, comfortable performance for Rangers. I thought they started all right. I mean, they played decent football against Celtic.
Yeah, I thought they were. Even against Kilmarnock, they could beat 4-0 against Kilmarnock, but they played some decent stuff. But I'm just going to touch on Rangers' kind of injuries pretty quickly. Liam Balogun get hurt before the game, and Helander came in. I thought Helander was excellent again. He just stands out to me a lot. Brandon Barker got a wee kind of niggle as well. I think reports are he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Ryan Jack again got an injury. It's just, and then again, kind of Morelos. I'll touch on the Morelos injury and the referee in a couple of minutes. But
that's
Rangers always seem to get a bit unlucky at this kind of time of year with injuries. But
yeah,
it's a worry. It's a worry because even like I'm not a Brandon Barker kind of enthusiast. I think he is decent, but I think there's better options than him there. But as I can say, when you're losing kind of 4 big players to injuries.
The problem is now, well, it's not really a problem. Like, from this time last season to now, Gerrard's got options now.
Yeah, so, exactly, yeah.
Like, your Arfield starting every game. Not every game, maybe first name in the team sheet. He's dropping it to the bench now, so he knows he's got to raise his performance for his own, obviously got a goal.
Yeah.
He knows now, like, he's not a starter straight away. Obviously, like saying you had like Ruth coming in, you've got Hadji coming in the door, so stuff like that. But the Arfields and stuff, they realise now they have to play for a place.
Yeah,
so
I thought when Scott Arfield came on Saturday was absolutely tremendous. I thought when he came on, he just his intelligence again. He looked so good, and his goal. I thought his goal was an excellent finish. But Alfredo Morelos came back into the team as well, and I thought he was pretty good. I thought like his work rate was better. He looked a bit fitter, and you can tell he's kind of been working hard during the international break. Gets the bad injury. I don't understand how in that isn't a red card. I just don't understand.
I don't understand.
I don't want to use this as a platform to go after referees, and that's never ever what I intend to do with this. But every game Kevin Clancy's involved in, there's something at the end of it. Not just for Rangers. This is every game he's involved in. Every game there's a problem. There's something at the end of it that he's missed, and it just sets a bad example for the referees. Like, I'm not saying that he's a bad official or he's got a set agenda or anything. I'm not saying that at all, but it was so obvious it was a red card. It's just you see the gash in his knee. You see how high the guy's foot is. I'm not saying the guys went out to purposely injure Morelos, but it's a terrible challenge, and it's got to be looked at. These kind of sort of decisions can't be let go. It's what people use against Scottish football was just how poor the refereeing's been, and that's another example. But
I think that Kevin Clancy's your standard boys club referee. Like,
yeah,
played boys club that before. Like, the referees, like in the West of Scotland, and that, in fact, in general, love being the centre of attention. Like, there's got to be something to do with Kevin Clancy. He must have something in a contract or something to be focused on him, because he's, as you said, he's a stinker in this every week. Like, I think they're going to have to drop him down maybe into a championship game when they start back up that.
But you say that though. But what difference does that make? Because if he goes down to the championship, he makes a mistake there. It's not as publicised, because it's kind of the games aren't really as kind of made, like, it isn't as big as a kind of Rangers game, like kind of the whole. But as soon as that challenge was made, like I kind of knew that he's not going to get sent off. Like, but you could see it.
But imagine the tables were turned, and that was Morelos putting a tackle. We didn't even have to lift his leg.
Well, that's what the kind of talk was as well. But But I've got my kind of own view on that, and I think there is occasions where certain players in the game are refereed differently to others, but it's so obvious. Like I know a few referees, and I text a couple of referees that just referee kind of junior level, and I just said to them, I says, watch that and tell me what you think of that, and they said it's a straight red. But this is the Kevin Clancy who sent off Alfredo Morelos without seeing the incident against Aberdeen. So you can't tell me that. You can't stick up for him and say he's not seen the challenge, because he's sent players off before without seeing a challenge.
In the same token as well, like players build up a reputation in that, but in the same way, he's a bit of a stinker again, and he's a bit of a...
Aye, it's no good for the kind of referees up here when they get every week. There's always something with certain officials, and it's not just Kevin Clancy. I could probably tell you about 3 or 4. But I just can I move on to Dundee United? I thought they were pretty happy to kind of sit in and just I just don't agree with that. So that you're 2-0 down, we're 2-0 down, and we're still 10 men behind the ball. Like, have a go, see what you can get. Like,
I've always said that as well. I say that obviously I do a bit of coaching as well. Like I just don't understand teams in general, regardless who you're playing against. I mean, you could be playing obviously Dundee United at Ibrox. What's the point? Like, I know it's hard. Obviously, you might be up against it, but what's the point in 10 men win the ball, even 11 men?
Yeah.
Go give folk a game of football. What's the point? Like, all these supporters must be like, I must be a Dundee United fan going, we're playing Rangers Day, we're going to get beat. Like, Ken, that's just about that. In Scotland, the mentality of football is terrible. Like, it is generally terrible at times. Like, when the likes of the old firms go to these teams, the majority of them, they sit back. Do you know what I mean? Like the Snow Cup games, you've seen it previously when Rangers played St Johnstone at home. And do you know what I mean? They sat there behind the ball. But if I was a professional football player, you want to go and give teams a game, you want to stand out. Like, who says that you can go play a couple of decent games, right? Maybe 5-6 games. I feel like Dundee United and somebody would come in, had Aberdeen could come in for you. Can you get a move?
Yeah.
Progressing up. Do you know what I mean? That's what I've seen it, but just negativity, I think it's killing. Sometimes kills Scottish football, but I like seeing teams that go for a bit. Like Dundee United against Celtic, I thought they did well. They obviously lined up, done horribly terrible. Against Kelly.
But Rangers stay top of the league, 19 points. Again, 7 games without conceding a goal. It's a great start to the season. The Dundee United are still sitting 8th with 7 points. Like it looks pretty tight down the bottom of the league, but I would say Dundee United have still got enough. I think Shankland will come back and get into a bit of a rhythm. He came on for 20 minutes, but he just didn't look kind of match fit. But he'll get there. He's a very, very good player. We'll move on to the second place team. Hibs won 3-0 against St Mirren. Kevin Nisbet, Newell and Boyle get the goals. There's a bit of controversy before the game started regarding the goalkeeper situation. St Mirren had a few kind of issues with goalkeepers testing positive for COVID-19. Do you think this game should have taken place?
No. I personally think the game should have been off.
Yeah.
You look back at the Celtic situation, look back at the Aberdeen situation. Aberdeen went in a lockdown. I think it was 7 or 8 of them went out for the night out. Then obviously you get Paul and Golly going to Spain for the day for his holiday. Going to Spain for the day for a holiday, which is what these guys think. I mean, I don't think the game should have been on. Under circumstances, the fact is, St Mirren obviously did a goalkeeper. Ingerbred was 5th choice keeper or something.
Yeah, they brought in the Zamal for Hearts on loan.
Zamal, decent signing, but I thought it was
I think that's a good signing, aye.
Emergency loan.
Yeah. But we'll touch on the game quickly. I thought Hibs looked very impressive. I think I've been kind of quite impressed with Hibs since the season started. Kevin Nisbet, Murphy, Gogic, I thought the kind of new signings, I thought they were all good.
By the way, like, when he was at Hamilton, he looks like a completely different player. Like, you can see Hamilton do miss him. You know, big time, guy.
Yeah.
Hamilton miss him there, but didn't expect him to go to Hibs and actually maybe get a couple of stars, but I think he's turned into a decent
he looked quite good, aye.
Don't get a move to obviously the Old Firm or Aberdeen or that, but to get to Hibs, a decent move for him. But I didn't expect him to play, but he's been quite impressed with him since he's come back. But very impressed with Hibs. To be fair, Jack Ross got him played some decent stuff. I think pure transformation since obviously he left Sunderland. I think quite tidy in the ball. A couple of decent players I've got as well, like the boy Martin Boyle at wide.
Yeah, I was just about going on to him as well. Yeah, but
good player. Boy Kevin Nichols as well. Well impressed with him to take the jump, obviously from the Championship at Dunfermline to jump all the way up to the Premier League. It's a big jump.
Yeah. He looks as if he's stood out very well. He's kind of joint top goal scorer in the league. He looks pretty good.
He's just like a duck to water, pretty much.
Yeah.
He took it and he's done well for a young lad. So it'd be good to see him progress in Scotland, see what happens. You never know what could happen in 2 or 3 years down the line, but another one to watch out for potential Scotland call-up down the line.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I thought Hibs were good. I thought, again, there was a couple of things I could touch on with just St Mirren. I just don't think St Mirren have enough kind of going forward. They just didn't look at it. They're still sitting 7th in the league with 7 points. They still look, I mean, they've started pretty well when you actually look at it, but when it gets to the kind of tough part of the season, I just don't know if they're going to have enough up front. Hibs were good though. I'm pretty confident Hibs would finish top 4. I've got a lot of confidence in them. I think that I touched on Kevin Nisbet in the first episode, how impressed I was with the signing of him. Scores again, I thought it was good. Martin Boyle as well. The past few years I've been very impressed with him. I think he could either make a move to I think both Old Firm teams were looking at him, and I think there's interest from England. So if he stays, I think he will stay. But if he's certainly one of those players that are that's getting recognised all over the country.
I think personally, if he does get a move to an Old Firm, if Rangers or Celtic do come in from him, I think he'd be wasted. Do you know what I mean? I think he would be. I don't know how he would fit into obviously Celtic played 3-5-2 at the weekend. How he would fit in, obviously men touched on Forrest playing that kind of wing back role. Good player, he's rapid, he's really quick, tidy in the ball, but I don't know if he'd really fit into if he's a Gerrard type player, do you know what I mean? But
yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Good to see Jamie Murphy as well getting some games.
Definitely.
I thought, yes, I wasn't too happy about him leaving Rangers, to be fair. I thought it could have been last year we could have been doing him. Obviously went to Burton Albion down south, chipped in a few goals, good performances. I was quite impressed from him at the start when obviously Gerrard had him.
Yeah.
Obviously we missed that, like I touched on the problems with Jordan Jones. It's quite disappointing.
I think it's going to be one of the things where you look back in a few years and it's just going to be that one injury against Kilmarnock is going to be it. That's all you kind of think of. But I think he was so unlucky at Rangers, Jamie Murphy. If he'd stayed fit, he'd have definitely kind of started the kind of seat. It would have definitely started the season for Rangers that year.
A lot of fans on social media were kind of grudging his move, to be fair, like Scotty Hibs. But a good player. I thought every time he played for Rangers was alright for injury. A good professional. He's a good career as well. Been down at
definitely, yeah.
Career started at Motherwell as well. So fair play to him. I don't grudge him a move as long as he's playing football.
Definitely. But Hibs are sitting second. I thought Hibs were good. I think they've been pretty solid all season. St Mirren 7 points, sitting 7th in the league. It's kind of tight down there, but all it takes is a couple of wins and they could be back up the table. But are they just going to have enough? That's my kind of worry. We'll move on to Aberdeen. A 1-0 win over Kilmarnock. They're up to 4th in the league now. That's their 4th win in a row in the league. I thought they were good, Aberdeen. I thought it was a pretty even game. I thought Kilmarnock maybe deserved something out of it. I thought they were quite unlucky. Did you watch the game?
Yes, I watched the game. Aberdeen blow hot and cold for me at times. The goal they scored for Wright, the boy Wright, done a good performance. Left the goal. Good start for Joe Lewis, obviously. Matt Kennedy, wide right, obviously had to turn back. It was a good team goal. McCrory's finish was classy. Good goal. Well worked as well, but Aberdeen lack that. Aberdeen's got that in their locker, but I don't think they're doing enough for me. Like, over the course of the season, McInnes, I don't know. I think he's happy enough to sat with Aberdeen. He was down south. We didn't do that game, Bristol City. Come up here, he's finished third a couple of times now, but I think he's quite a negative manager. But good to see the goal they scored was good. Just on when I touched on McCrory, I think that's another one that, like I said, Jamie Murphy. I think that could potentially come back to bite Rangers.
Oh, I've said that from the beginning, yeah.
Rangers got the biggest season in years now, but struggling to put in McCrory. It's a shame to lose a talent, but good to see him on the score sheet. Played really good. So I thought his first game was impressive. Quite tidy in the ball when he played right back, but classy finish. Well, I think that's what he was missing in his career. Like when he was at Rangers, he didn't have that wee bit to drive forward. I think he was kind of hindered and restricted a bit. Obviously, he's got I don't know I can get that in his locker, but good finish. But and the boy right, like I touched on, the boy at left, it was decent, a good performance for him.
Yeah, I thought he was good as well. I think McCrory as well was a standout to me. Great finish. But we'll touch on Kilmarnock as well. Like, I would say they were pretty, I thought they played pretty decent stuff. Like, Alex Dyer came out at the end of the game and said he thought they played pretty well and maybe deserved something. I would probably go with that. I thought they were unlucky. It's really tough with Aberdeen because they'll probably finish third or fourth comfortably with, I would probably say, them and Hibs, but that's not enough. Like, it's not enough for that. Like, they need to be getting in contention for cups and things like that. They've got a tough game on Thursday night, but is it enough? They are badly missing Cosgrove. Like, just has presence that you can tell they're not the same team without that presence there. Even Curtis Main, when he was kind of I think he came on Saturday, but they do miss that big kind of presence up front.
The thing is, they've got two strikers the exact same. They're just big Cosgrove and Curtis Main. They're two hammer throwers. I mean, they're just big brutes. But the boy Marley Watkins, who's down south, he's been about a bit, but I wasn't impressed with him, to be fair. But the person that did stand out for me for Kelly, that stood out for the start of the season, is Chris Buck at 36. I think he's been brilliant. 36-year-old, putting performance in like that. Good crosser ball, real good. I wouldn't be surprised if I was like in Steve Clarke's head. Like, I'd call him up for Scotland at 36. I mean, it's going to be better than what they've got now, but it's not a bad shout. I know his age obviously hinders him, but I think he's a decent player. He's always been a decent professional as well.
Definitely.
I don't think it'd be a bad shout calling him up for Scotland. I don't know if I'm being a bit wild saying that, but I think it would be a bad option.
You could be right. I mean, obviously his age is probably. I think he's played a few times for Scotland, but he's certainly been good. Like, I've been impressed with the boy Kabamba since he came in. I think he's added a bit of kind of presence to them as well. Like, I think he complements Brophy quite well.
Yeah, he does. I about the boy Kabamba. He's getting on League football in England, I think. I was talking to one of my mates. He's a Kelly fan. I think he mentioned it, but he's a big physical presence. You've seen that also against Celtic with Julian, with the mistake he had. Big boy, likes to run down the channels as well. So I think that's an option that Kelly have missed.
Yeah.
But I think obviously with Brophy, because we nippy striker can play just behind him as well. But no, I think Kelly will pick up some decent points. Obviously, a good result last week against Dundee United, but disappointed knowing he's got a point up at Dundee. But I think they've strengthened, so they've got some decent signings. Obviously, they've signed Tish Fuller back again, and that's so. And obviously, I think they've just signed. West House at Celtic. Malumbu, they just signed.
Yeah, the Malumbu's back in. Yeah, he's just having the presence as well. They complement well with the kind of system that Alex Dyer wants to implement. So they'll be. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll not sit in 10th for very long. I think a couple of wins will be straight. They'll be up the table.
They'll be straight back up. But no, I was quite impressed. It
was a pretty decent performance.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll move on to Motherwell. They get their first win of the season. They won 1-0 against St Johnstone. They're still sitting at bottom though in goals scored. I thought they were pretty good. I mean, Alan Campbell stands out to me again. I think he's an excellent player. Do you think this will be the boost that Motherwell need to just kind of get up the table?
They had to get points. They did get that first win. Obviously, Robinson going to kind of slate the team the past couple of weeks. Come in the press and gave them a wee bit of stick. I would mention that a few players highlighted. They didn't mention any names, but I think they know who they were. But I thought Alan Campbell's goal was good. Good finish. Obviously, a good return. I was taken away and classy finish. But I think I'm still missing a couple of things. A couple of missing links.
Yeah.
Motherwell signing again Steve O'Donnell in, the boy was at Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on a free transfer. He left to go down to try and get moved down south. After that, didn't move because of COVID. But and there's a couple of bits they're missing. Maybe another striker, I think, as well. I don't know if Tony Lott's really cutting it anymore. That's kind of, he's been about for ages. But maybe another striker, maybe another midfielder. Obviously, Turnbull. But it looks like Alan Campbell stepped up to fill the boots Turnbull's left.
I think he's going to be a big player for Motherwell, Alan Campbell. I thought last season he was pretty impressive as well with Turnbull being injured, but Turnbull's obviously away now. He just stands out to me every time I watch him. He's just got that intelligence. I do think Motherwell need a bit more up front. I they can't rely on midfielders all season long, because, as you say, it's going to get to the stage where they're going to need to score goals, and they can't rely on Alan Campbell for that. St Johnstone again will feel pretty hard done by. But just touch on what you were saying there. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say St Johnstone chances.
I thought St Johnstone would feel very hard done by.
They did. There was one of the chance with Stevie May. Wasn't even a sitter. Could have second half could have finished that. The first half, Halloran had the wee one just in the wing, in the box, cut in. Could have finished that. Hard finish to take. But I think St Johnstone lack a manager. Looked an interview after the game, and that is a bit dull and boring. There's nothing. There's no. I don't know how you would listen to him in the change room. I don't know if you agree with that, but he just did. No motivation, man. It just seems like if that's your gaffer, like, what does he say to players in the change room? I think he looks like a rugby player than a football player. He looks like a rugby coach, but I just think that St Johnstone obviously done really well under Tommy Wright. Obviously he's away now. Yeah, I think he was trying to get an Northern Ireland job. Obviously, you don't get that, but
yeah.
A big job to fill up there, because it's what he done. Tommy Wright, what wonders.
Oh yeah, it's a hard thing to put. It's a hard person to replace, but I think Callum Davidson. He looks a good manager. Like he's been there. He's been there with Tommy Wright, so they've not really changed how they play.
I think he was down at Millwall as well. Callum Davidson, he was an assistant down there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He's come back up, but I think he's just a wee bit dull and boring for my liking. You know what I mean? I don't know when a manager's a pure hothead, but. So sometimes the interviews are a bit negative. He's just a wee bit. I mean, a lot of times he's just happy to beat 1-0, but do you know what I mean? If you're a player, you wouldn't want to be happy to be at all.
But it was a pretty good result for Motherwell. A win on the board, the first win of the season. St Johnstone's still sitting sixth in the league, so they'll be fine as well. I don't have any worries about them getting relegated or anything. Last game of the week was Livingston against Hamilton. Hamilton got a win, big win for them, 2-1. Livingston took the lead after 1 minute through Scott Pittman, but David Templeton and the young boy Monroe get the winning goal. 18 years old, how will that be for him, getting a winning goal like that in his second start? His first start, sorry, that was his second appearance.
No, some buzz for a young lad like that, 18-year-old, you're playing in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Scotland's obviously getting through the youth system, which is massive at Hamilton, because they do rely on a lot of youth players to come through. So they're not getting the biggest budget and don't sell as many season tickets as it is, so they rely on the youth to get moves, obviously to generate money for the club. Like, so it was a great bucket that I went to Rangers. Yeah. But, no, I was impressed. I thought Hamilton played alright. They played now for Rangers for the international break. They were alright. I thought Templeton was a complete standout again.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
Coming off fair age, Templeton, but he always had it until it's just been riddled with injuries. But obviously, you seen him when he was at Hearts, the goal he scored against Liverpool down at Anfield. He had the Rangers, obviously just injuries just kind of hindered him and held him back. But no, he has still good quality. I did down at he was down at Burton Albion.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was. But no, good to see boy Monroe obviously getting his first goal, second start. Can expect him to obviously to push on. They've got a couple of decent players in the squad. They've got a youth boys, but Regan Mirren as well. So yeah, good side. I like the boy Ocampo as well that plays. I like him. He's a bit of a brute, but no, good to see him get obviously plus points, and I think I went away from home, and obviously I think it was the first back-to-back win since 17.
Yeah, it was. That was the first back-to-back away win since November 17. So that'll be a huge boost to them. I think Brian Rice as well doesn't get the credit he deserves. I said that last week. Kind of the job he's done, and he's no scared to bring through young players. That's the big thing.
There was a guy, one of my old uni lecturers, who was at Hamilton coaching. Was talking. I had a conversation before, a good few months before lockdown started. We were talking about how Hamilton's set up and that, and said that Brian Rice is brilliant. Like, there's quite a few things with SFA and that, so he knows his stuff. But good to have him in. Obviously, he's had his wee bit of downfall now, obviously with the betting. Now he came out in the mid. It's good to see him obviously turn around, but I think a manager like that, Hamilton need a manager like that. Somebody's going to rely on giving youth, because he's worked through the youth system as well. So
exactly. I'm
a big believer in it. Obviously, clubs nowadays start buying. If you've got players in the youth setup they can play a bit, why not use them instead of spending £500,000, £1 million, £2 million on bringing players in? And you've got a player that can sit there. I'm a big believer in getting the youths in.
Livingston on the other hand as well, like they're there's kind of a difference for last season. They've been pretty poor at home so far this season. Last season they made the Tony Macaroni Arena. I still have to kind of pause when I say that name. Yeah, it's bad. They made that a kind of fortress. I think they only lost twice there last season.
See, when you touch on that Tony Macaroni, I think St Mirren's got a worse name stadium.
Aye, they do. Aye.
I can't remember what it is, but it's like 6 different names, then it's just some arena. Like,
it used to be remember it used to be something like the Paisley 2021 City of Culture or something.
How can you go potentially for having Love Street to a 6-barrel stadium name? It's ridiculous. It's terrible. But no, just when you were talking about St Mirren, I think they could. They know some
Livingston.
Livy, I think Livy could maybe struggle this year. They've lost Dykes.
I think Dykes is a massive loss. Yeah, I do think though they've got Stokes to come in. When Stokes kind of gets going, I think he'll be a big player for them. But
that's I don't know. It's no. I think he's just obviously went for a player that played in Scotland, but obviously Celtic, Hibs. I mean, the guy was playing in Iran.
Yeah.
I think that kind of sums up Anthony Stokes for me personally. I don't think it's a player that's. I think they signed a good business, obviously getting Jason Hall, but I think they miss a couple of players. Obviously, they lost the centre half to Hearts.
Yeah,
last season, I never really filled that in. But see, the thing is that I've always said that Andy Halliday, a free agent, why is he not went back there? Do you know, why is somebody not keep their job there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not his level. I think he's obviously a wee bit better than Liddy, but he would certainly do a job there. Jason Holt's putting a shift in, but I think missing Dykes, obviously he scored the weekend for Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah.
Couple goal for Scotland, but I think it's a massive miss. But I think replacing him with Anthony Stokes is an absolute. That's a shocker.
But it's a great result for Hamilton, getting them up to 9th in the league. It's gets them off kind of bottom spot. But Hamilton are kind of my tip to go down. But I would hope to be wrong in that because I'm a big fan of Brian Rice and how he conducts himself. And
Hamilton's always, I mean, teams they always flip in relegation, so they're going to be there. But they always find a way to come out. But I think it'll be maybe next couple of years. I think the Hamilton maybe will drop down.
Yeah.
Like obviously the championship strong is probably as strong as it's been.
Aye.
Ever like Ayr, Inverness, Cali, Dundee, Hearts. Do you know what I mean? So this stuff. I think like Hamilton's gonna had their time in the big league. Do you know what I mean? It's maybe time for them to drop out. I don't know, but I think still my pick to go down. St Mirren, I think this year. I think
Has it?
My pick to go down.
Yeah, Hamilton. But it's a great result for Hamilton as well. It's kind of not alarm bells are ringing at Livingston, but it's certainly a kind of stage where kind of the home record kind of needs to be sorted out because that was kind of the reason they done so well last year. But
that's a confidence booster for Hamilton, pretty much.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So it's a big boost. So it's a good team. So.
Definitely. But it's been a pretty kind of different week. Can I just touch on? Can I ask you two things? Can I ask what was your performance of the week and who was kind of the player of the week? Who was the player that caught your eye the most?
Player that actually stood out as much would probably be David Templeton. He was really good.
Yeah, I would say.
Between Templeton or Ryan Kent. Although Ryan Kent was excellent, as I said, touched on earlier on, he started to step up a notch. He's adding a wee bit more to his game. Obviously, got his goal, but I think probably close to Ryan Kent and David Templeton. What about yourself?
Yeah, I would say David Templeton. I thought David Templeton was good. Alan Campbell as well. I think Alan Campbell just makes Motherwell such a better team. But I thought I would give it to Alan Campbell for me, but David Templeton I can totally agree with. I can totally understand that. But it's been a pretty good week. 6 wins. There was goals in kind of pretty much every game. Celtic, Rangers, Hibs dominated. A great result for Aberdeen and Motherwell. And
when you take it, then you can maybe have like one game that's obviously Rangers and Celtic picked up goals, but none lost when you have the rest of the game. You have a couple of nice draws. Yeah. And it gives the three kind of Europe, the 3 teams that are playing in Europe this season a confidence boost going into them. We'll touch on them at the end, but we'll move on. We're going to change it up a wee bit. We're going to decide amongst ourselves. We've thought long and hard about this, haven't we? We've kind of gave this a lot of thought. Who we think is the worst Old Firm signings over the last 10 years. Now, I've got a wee kind of thing about this. I don't want to include any Rangers player from the years when they were down in the lower leagues because I think that's a whole show in itself. You could but in the same talking, there was some absolute
I know you can panic. shake as soon as you hear some of the names. But
I've not
included any in my list. But if you want to throw some at me, on you go. But
I've got a few jotted down. The worst player I think I've ever seen most recent times was Dalcio. This guy,
Dalcio, the Pedro Caixinha signing, who was going to be the number 7.
It was back to a story when I went to Rangers drew Niederkorn in the Europa League. It was an absolute disaster. They had the absolute shit show.
Yeah.
I was at that game with you and your dad and your wee brother, and I think we were sitting in the car up to the game, and talking about kind of cooking on that, and my dad goes, I fancy Rangers 8 or 9-0 today.
Aye, exactly.
We got up to Ibrox and that, and obviously sitting and you see the team sheet, and brilliant, Dalcio, number 7, this boy's got to be decent. I mind he get the ball for the kick-off. I think he done a step over and kind of slipped in the ball. I think he done some. I just thought, oh no, this has got to be mega. But I don't know how that came about. I don't know what. Don't get me wrong, right? Coutinho signed some absolute duds, but he would have given his dues. He signed Candias and Morelos.
Aye, he done. His record in the market isn't actually as bad as folk make out. Like, there's obviously a couple of duds who I'm going to touch on another one in a minute. But Dalcio, to me, right, it was way out his depth. It was never Rangers class. Like, never.
Played for Benfica B.
Aye,
played for Benfica B. Benfica B to potentially one of the biggest clubs in world football. Like, how does that come about? Like, he wasn't a power player. He was more I don't know.
He had 50 minutes against Progress Niederkorn, and I remember turning to you and going, "Nah, I think we need to see more going forward."
No,
and we didn't see him kick a ball from then until Rangers were up 4-1 against Hamilton, and I remember a chant going through the Rangers team like, "We want Dalcio" or something. It was ridiculous.
I mind it coming on the park. There's a picture of Dalcio getting subbed on, and he's just like staring at his face, these big massive eyes, just like with a big smile. But I wouldn't Rangers player, but I was one of Coutinho's duds. But see, to touch on well, Coutinho's in Qatar now, right? And he's just signed Eva Banega for Valencia on a free agent, which is nuts. Because I'm a massive fan. I mean, for Sevilla, sorry, they did play for Valencia. It was Valencia. Played for Inter Milan. Yeah. He went to Sevilla and obviously won the Europa League. That was his last game. But obviously, Coutinho just signed him in Qatar, which is like a cracking signing. To be fair, no, still got legs, proper football player. But no, it's a bit of a shocker with Coutinho.
Aye, he certainly features high. I'm going to talk.
Your dad seen the 9-0. Him playing for Rangers. I don't know what it was.
I don't know, but it was a crazy. That was a crazy week. It was bonkers
you
because.
Look back at that, right? You go to look back at it and just think like, what the hell were Rangers doing? There was some duds, so you don't say the same. Couldn't be a
Aye, I'm going to touch on a Celtic one. Do you remember a player called Amido Baldi?
Oh, disaster. Was he not a winger?
He was a striker. He was a kind of striker, but he came in. I think it was $2.5 million. This Celtic signed him from like Victoria Guimarães. This was his period when Celtic were badly needing a striker. They badly needed to kind of replace. I think Hooper. I think he replaced Hooper at the end up, but Hooper and Wanyama had left, and Amido Baldi was the kind of selection to replace him, and he just never ever lived up to it. It just wasn't Celtic class. I think he scored in his debut, but he just didn't fit the bill. But he would be one of mine. Amido Baldi would certainly feature in my list. Who you got next?
I'm going to go Freddie Lundberg because the guy was at Arsenal. Sure, he played in America. Come over here thinking the Calvin Klein boxers thinking you're going to be in Scotland. Another man just absolutely crumbled. In fact, actually, it was James Forrest that kept him in the team. Like that was when you look at it. James Forrest was a young boy breaking through Celtic, and Freddie Lundberg was going to look at himself and think like, "Oh, what was it like?" It was a terrible signing for Celtic. It was more I've seen signings like that when you obviously the signed Roy Keane for Robbie Keane and Freddie Lundberg. That's a shirt seller. Obviously
definitely.
Obviously, part of Invincibles and that, but fair play to James Forrest for keeping in the team. Look, he's coming now. But I think Freddie Lundberg was a bit of a stinker for Celtic. He didn't even play much either. But...
No, I mean, this was a guy who was probably, I would say he was probably one of the most important players in the Invincibles team at Arsenal. But he just came to Celtic way too late. Didn't look anywhere near what Freddie Ljungberg was before that. Cut his hair mainly, which I think is a big thing. Cut his hair. Remember he had the kind of red mohawk?
I think he cut that with a 50-page piece of shoe.
Aye, shaved his hair and just didn't look anything near what Freddie Ljungberg was.
That's what I was saying. He was more interested praying about the boxers and playing football at one point. But no, disaster sign for Celtic. And another one I've touched on as well in most recent times. I think probably quite a lot of disagreement here. Probably Scott McPike.
Aye. That was. I've always said that was probably the biggest waste of a career in Scottish football.
It's a shame because even he's there's quite a lot of Celtic fans. I think he played Ajax and he played like a through ball to somebody, and they were like, "Oh, Scott McPike." The guy didn't do much at Celtic. He obviously got loaned out, and that was a shame because he was a player. Obviously, Stubbs and Morgan, obviously to get him at Rangers, and obviously Celtic ended up coming in with a bit of money and sign him. Basically, just a deflecting the Rangers situation. Obviously, goes to Celtic. Big, young boy, could have at the time broke into a Scotland team with a bit. If he played at Celtic, possibly could.
Oh, when he was at Hibs, he was excellent. He was a standout every game Hibs played. It was great.
Obviously, got his move for the Championship to Celtic. That's what I touched on. Obviously, if he did play at Celtic, could have been a potential for a Scotland cap. Aye, if he did play, but a bit of disaster. It was a shame because he missed a good 2-3 years of his career, maybe I think it was. But I think he's back at Adford. Obviously, he's playing first team football, but he's a good player. I do like him. He's good. Aye,
I mean that whole thing can't have been good for him either. Like the whole kind of Rangers Hibs tug of war thing, and then Celtic step in. We can argue kind of why he went to Celtic, but goes to Celtic, just doesn't work out. Gets the move to Hibs, and he's getting his career back on track, and I hope he does because it's a lot. How many players can we name off the top of our heads that have been in that situation where they've went to one of the old firm teams and they've just no got going, and they've just it's kind of been a move that's going to set their career back. But aye, but I hope he does pick up from it. I'm going to touch on a Rangers one. If you remember James Beattie, remember him?
How could you forget?
James Beattie was a kind of star at Southampton and Everton. Had a great career in England. Came to Rangers when he was 33, and I think he was about 33 stone as well. He just never. It was just. He
was worse when you mentioned that. He won a league title with Rangers, right? And El Hadj Diouf did. That's two. Yeah. Never. Honestly, James Beattie, as you said, he was overweight. El Hadj Diouf is an absolute powder keg. Obviously going back to Blackburn with the shorts on, with the trophy winning T-shirt and getting big licks with the medal. But see, when you look at that team, Rangers had a good team, but they had a lot of poor quality play. And James Beattie was stinking.
He came in and it was Rangers' first permanent signing for 2 years. If you remember, the season before, Rangers signed only one player, and it was Jerome Rotan from Monaco, who just is lucky that he's not in the 10-year bracket because he was a stinking signing for Rangers. But he just didn't look. Say that again.
See that squad we touched on El Hadj Diouf and James Beattie. Rangers had David Healy as well.
Aye, I mean there's plenty of players we can pick for that kind of era.
Aye.
But James Beattie, it just wasn't the answer. Rangers signed as well Jelavic that season. You can tell me who was a better signing, Jelavic or Beattie. I think it's a no contest. Jelavic was probably one of the best players in the last 10 years for Rangers, hands down.
When you mentioned that season, Lafferty was brilliant.
Aye, definitely. Kenny Miller as well. Look, the whole reason Rangers signed James Beattie was because kind of Boyd had left, Novo had left. Rangers badly needed kind of somebody up front. Yeah. If it wasn't for Kenny Miller that season, Rangers wouldn't have won the league. Obviously, Kenny Miller left to go to Bursaspor in January, but James Beattie was to come in and just to be a kind of goal scorer, but he just never hit the heights. He was poor, unfit, goes on loan to Blackpool in January, but just isn't the James Beattie that kind of probably was kind of one of Everton's best players at one point. Like, he was scoring a lot of goals for them. I think he went for about 8 million or something to Everton. But James Beattie would definitely feature on my list. He just wasn't up to it.
My final one is the name still haunts me to this day. Another, when Rangers were doing the low divisions, was Sandaza. That was, the name even scars me for life, how Rangers even signed him.
Rangers signed him, and just, do you remember why he left?
That's exactly what I touch on. Any guy that gets a phone call, could possibly just a taxi driver. That's like kidding on. Like, he must, like, obviously he was an MLS super agent came to America. Like, he's playing League One.
That was third division.
Third division.
Third division,
right?
was I? Aye.
Third division at the time, right? Who in America is sitting watching third league Scottish football to think, I want Sandaza in my team to be a franchise? It just doesn't add up. I'm sorry, he was absolutely bogging.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he was at Dundee United. I was at St Johnstone as well. He was shite. That's it.
It just wasn't good at all. You could pick about 13 or 14 players from that era easily. A list in its own.
But Sandaza, there's one of my good pals. He always have a joke about the Sandaza thing, and it still scars me and him for life. That was just, there was no need for that. I mean, see, the thing is, he would probably win a bit of money as well.
Oh, aye. That's another thing as well. Some of the contracts was ridiculous. Like, I've heard some stories from a couple of people about how bad the contracts were. This is a club who's playing it in the third division, and they've got the second highest wage budget in the league, and the whole SPL. So it's ridiculous. But Sandaza, but the whole thing with that was, as I always say, that whole period, Rangers could have easily they had the players there who'd stayed on, like McCulloch, Wallace, like they'll always be high in my regard for staying on and helping. But you could have easily filled the team with youth players and kind of built them up instead of wasting money on players who just won the Rangers class or just stealing a wage.
Yeah, as well, I've said at the time, I always said to obviously my dad and that, and obviously my late grandfather and that, I said, why is Rangers not going to get players? They played in that league, right? Fair enough, they obviously signed some alright players and that, but should have signed players running about, kind of sounds daft, signing players at League One, Championship, League Two level. There's played in it. I mean, they played. Yeah. I went to Alloa at home, right? And it was Michael Chopper played. I even drew 2 each at home to Alloa.
Yeah.
These boys have played. Like, these boys have played that level. It sounds daft off as signing like, Rangers signed somebody for Queen's Park or somebody signed somebody Elgin. But these boys have played that level. That's their bread and butter. Do you know what I mean? I personally wouldn't have any problem if we went and signed a couple of players at that level if they were going to like kind of feel decent.
Even like we think about it, we look back, like they had some decent players coming through, like Lewis McLeod, Barry Mackay, Robbie Crawford, Fraser Aird. The two that always stand out to me who were pretty decent was Tom Walsh and Andy Murdoch. Like, give them a couple of years and let them and build them up, and you've got players who could potentially be 4 years. They've been through a lot. They could have done a job in the SPL. Like, it was just a waste of money, waste of time, and it set Rangers back a year because Rangers should have went up a year earlier, and they just wasted.
There's another one just for that scene. Just I'll actually mention. I've got kind of jotted in as well. Was the big centre half, big Rocky, big Gillian Washley. That was
yeah. Shambles.
Was at least said about that. But I think maybe he's back in English football. He's at Grimsby now.
Aye.
I don't know.
I think did he go to Southend or something? Aye, he went to Southend, I think.
No, Rangers got him for Southend.
Aye, that's right.
I think it's actually Ian Holloway. I can't know who's Ian Holloway said something, but after that Rangers game with Motherwell, I heard the story that he drove straight to France after the game. His contract was up, but you'll not be seeing him up in the West End of Glasgow anytime soon. He
wasn't really Rangers class. I've got a couple of Celtic ones I just want to touch on quickly. I've got Mo Bangura. Do you remember him? Henrik Larsson's recommendation to Celtic.
And the Henrik, it was the hair. I loved the hair.
Yeah.
Kind of afro with it. It kind of looked like the guy for The Simpsons. He looked like Don King, I think, with the hair.
But,
the hair for Don King, it's just kind of the kind of black hair with the kind of grey, I don't know if it's roots or that, but he looked like Don King for the haircut.
Yeah, aye. He signed. He was another £2.5 million signing. This was when Celtic just badly needed a striker, and they were willing to throw money at anybody. And Henrik Larsson, who many consider, including me, to be one of the greatest Celtic players of all time, told Neil Lennon that this player was different class, and got to Celtic. No, he wasn't. He wasn't good at all. Didn't hit the heights. He was poor. I think he scored a couple of goals, but it just wasn't the answer. Just again, Celtic had a few strikers they signed in who just didn't cut it, and that was really all I can say about Mo Bangura. But the other Celtic player I want to touch on was.
To just interrupt you, I've actually just quickly googled Mo Bangura, and the hair, honestly, is the double of Don King. The haircut is an absolute cracker. Nobody can see Don King. He's a boxing promoter in America, but. Honestly, that hair's wicked, man.
Yeah, his hair was more remembered than any contribution he made to Celtic. But the last one I want to touch on for Celtic was the man who infamously was called Sick Note, which I think is one of the greatest nicknames in Scottish football history.
Who?
Sick Note, Dirk Barrichter. Remember him? There's a Celtic fan who I know quite well who just refers to this guy as Sick Note. And it's the best name I've ever heard for a Celtic player.
It's a cracker. It's also, I don't know how to spell the name, but Derek Richter, like team from Ajax. Ken played quite a lot. Played a bit of Champions League football and that, but that's just what I mean. Like, you look at it when we touched on obviously youth players and that. A youth player must be sitting in the ranks of Celtic at the time and thinking, what have I got to possibly do to get into the team? I mean, like that was, I don't know why that. I'm sure he was a winger, but
he was a winger. He had a pretty good career up until I think his last year at Ajax. He played in the Champions League. I think there's a game.
If you're at Ajax at that level, youth level, obviously they're regarded obviously going to play first team. He did play first team at Ajax, but that's not. I don't know who picked him for Ajax because he was immense.
Yeah, well, it comes to Celtic and. If you remember, his debut's against somebody. I think it's against Hibs or something, and he plays the first 45 minutes, and all reports says he's absolutely tremendous. But that's all I've ever heard anything positive to say about Dirk Barrichter, because he gets a league medal, but he just wasn't the answer for Celtic. I've got one more I want to throw in Celtic, and I'll give the last two Rangers ones to you.
Right.
Marvin Compere.
Mind him for Hoffenheim.
He was in for Leipzig.
He was at Hoffenheim as well.
Aye, but
that's what I remember. I don't think I've ever seen him with a Celtic tap on.
Oh no, I have, and I remember this was quite funny actually. When Celtic won the league a couple of years ago, I think it's maybe the Invincible season. I can't quite remember, but there's a big roar when his name gets announced up to go and get his medal. I think he played something like 16 minutes. It was shambolic, just a shambolic signing. But the cheer when he gets his medal is it's pretty funny actually. When the announcer just goes, and it's Marvin Compere, and you just hear the roar.
You would actually be embarrassed, and you must think to yourself, like these fans think I'm absolutely dreadful.
And I just picture the fact that the minute he gets up that tunnel, somebody just takes the medal off him and go, "What are you getting that for?"
I can.
It's ridiculous.
I know down south in Liverpool, when they won the league, obviously kind of club trying to get a couple of youth players to get medals and that, but I think you've got to play a certain amount of games to win a medal.
Aye, I think it's something like 13. The number is quite high. Like I've always said, the number is quite high. Like considering if you're a youth player, like say you're a youth player and you score a winning goal or something, and you only play that one time, like you don't get a medal. It's quite. I think it needs to kind of be looked at, but. Marvin Compere played 16 minutes, and do you remember the bit and only excuse? Now, only excuse for the past 5 years has been pretty piss poor, to be honest. Like, let's be serious.
The only half decent thing in, only excuse is the Frank McAvenny. That's it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing
but there was something funny in it with this. Like it was like they were doing like a Celtic View competition, and the winner got a Marvin Compere build your own. Or something. It was hilarious. It was like, and you just see There's like a leg with a plaster on it. There's like an arm with a sling. It's brilliant. That was quite funny. But Marvin Compere would certainly be kind of top in mine. I thought it was a disaster from start to finish.
Aye, wasn't he? He's no bringing any fond memories to Parky, doesn't he?
Right, let's close it. Let's close it with a couple more. We've got 2 more. I think we can fill. Who you got?
I'm going to go John Daly.
John Daly.
That's
just out of curiosity. Who would you rather have in the Rangers team? Would you rather have John Daly the golfer or John Daly the player Rangers got?
Me personally, I was actually talking with John Daly the other day. I think you'd probably get a better laugh with John Daly, the golfer, than John Daly. Don't get me wrong, he did score a couple of goals at Rangers, but no, he didn't really cut the mustard for me. Honestly,
it sums up. It's kind of sums up again. Just the players, just
go youth. I don't think he went. I think he went to be there.
No, I don't think he did either. I'm just picking up a
same token. Obviously, when Kevin Kell signed for Rangers, and that he's a Celtic fan, but he actually wanted to go to Rangers. Like that, he said, like, "Listen, I'm going that with him." There was an experienced fan, and I'd rather have somebody that was going to go there regardless. Like actually was alright. I thought Kevin Kell was that bad. It was alright, but John Daly was the obviously good reputation at Dundee United. Rangers signed him. He wasn't the best. To be fair.
No. Right, I'm going to touch on another one. I'm going to finish up with him, and I'm just going to make a wee honourable mention. We've got Eduardo Herrera and Joey Barton, who just edge out of the top 10 here. But do you remember Mervyn Celik, who was the last Rangers signing before administration kicked in? Oh my God!
Went to Ibrox. I seen this guy turn up with his lime green Vapor Nike boots on. I think Jimmy Bell had a word in his ear straight. That's not acceptable. But,
he plays against Dundee United. His debut was against Dundee United in the Scottish Cup, and I was there that day. I remember that game. He was absolutely shambolic. 45 minutes he lasts, and that was the worst. That was one of the worst Rangers wing performances I've
remember Salin Kerkar?
Yeah, Salin Kerkar was like.
I don't know. Actually,
Salin Kerkar was like Serge Gnabry compared to this guy, though.
I don't know if it was Kerkar or Celik that had the green boots. It was one of them, but I think you've got to have a word with that. I mean, the one that used green or lime.
My God. He comes in for Celik comes in for Sweden, and Rangers at the time are a shambles. Like you can tell there's something going on. Like
it always makes me wonder. See when you mention that they came from Sweden, like who? Like I kind of sounds daft, but who is watching Swedish football to get somebody like that to like Rangers? Like I want to know who. I'd love to know who signed. Like somebody did Rangers for the years now. It's obviously Celtic that. What do folks see? Does it watch YouTube videos of these players or that?
I think they do. I think it must be something like that because there's no way that Mervyn Celik was anywhere near Rangers class. Because I'm just going to pinpoint an exact time as where Mervyn Celik, where he stands out in my memory. Rangers were playing against the United in the Scottish Cup, and the kind of reports where the administration wasn't far away. Like we were hearing that kind of story, but. Dundee United's front three that day was Gary Mackay-Steven, Johnny Russell and Stuart Armstrong, right? That was the front three for Dundee United. They ripped Rangers to shreds, and Rangers' front three that day was Andy Little, Mervyn Celik, and I think it was Greg Wild. Like, that's bad. And Mervyn Celik was like, he gets a big roar at the start of the game, and he's so bad, man. Oh my God. He looked like a guy who just, at the start, 10 minutes before the game, Broxy Bear had picked a name out the tombola and just said, "Right, you're on a right wing." That's what it looked like.
Just when you touch on Greg Wild as well, I think he was actually a Rangers, but he has been everywhere. St Mirren.
He's been everywhere. Right.
I don't know if he played for Cove Rangers or Fraser here. I don't know where. I'd love to know where Greg Wild is now because
I think he's at Dumbarton or something. I might be wrong, but I'm sure he's at Dumbarton. When he was 5, he dropped out of junior football. But who we'd say we're not professional players. I just play 5, but he was there. There's certainly about a full episode we could have on players for there. But Mervyn Celik, he leaves as well. He leaves when Rangers are making redundancies. And actually, you mentioned Greg Wild. It was him and Greg Wild who took voluntary redundancy. But he goes on and plays in Serie A. He plays for a team called Pescara. He goes and plays in Serie A. He goes with Pescara. Right?
That's where
Vladimir Weiss. Vladimir Weiss was playing at the other wing.
Weiss played for the
And he goes. I remember. I'm quite a big Serie A fan, but I remember watching him one game. And like you're thinking, like Serie A, I think they might have been playing Roma. No, it was terrible.
No,
right, they were playing Roma, and he was absolutely awful. And I remember saying, like, Vladimir Weiss I thought Vladimir Weiss was great for Rangers, but Weiss was. You look at one wing and you look at that. Vladimir Weiss was doing these things that only very few players can do. Just the skill he had. Mervyn Chellick couldn't keep the ball in front.
That touches back on when I say like these like kind of people that are signing players for teams. Like how does Greg Wild possibly get moved to Serie A? That's
no Mervyn Chellick. I'm talking about.
Mervyn
Chellick. I'm not talking Greg Wild.
No. Mervyn Chellick, they must see something, but they must just see somebody a squad filler because that's a disaster. I thought you'd say Greg Wild. Sorry.
Mervyn Chellick, he went on to Pescara, and basically I don't think he's ever been heard of since. But he would be up there for me. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Like it fills you with horror. Some of the names on that. But if any of the listeners have got any suggestions, if there's any players we've missed, then please let us know because we've researched this, and that's the best we can think of. Or the worst
they can top Dalcio for me.
If anybody can top Dalcio, Marvin Compere, James Beattie, Mo Bangura, Amido Baldi, then please let us know because we need to know who these players are. Oh dear. Just some of the names we just said there just bring back horrible memories for me. Right, we'll close on this. What's coming up? We've got a few European games coming up, but we'll start in Celtic. Have got a game away at St Mirren. Their game in hand from when a couple of games postponed. I think Celtic won comfortably. But you got a score prediction for us?
I'm going to go either 3 or 4. I think again.
I think it'll be about 4-0. I think Celtic will just cruise. I think they'll play 3-5-2 again unchanged. I think there'll be more games in the legs for likes of Duffy and Ayeti. And I think I can see them winning comfortably. 3 Scottish teams have got Europa League games this week. We've got Rangers are away to Lincoln Red Imps, hoping to right what Celtic couldn't do and beat them. But
that was his first game, wasn't it?
That was Rodgers' first game, 1-0. And I think it was a flight attendant that scored the winning goal.
I have been to that stadium. In Gibraltar, there's only 2 football parks, one in the main stadium, Victoria Stadium it's called, next to the airport. There's one in the RAF base. It overlooks a runway. The boys are, if the ball goes to the park, it's getting chased by a British Airways flight pretty much. As well, it's nuts. Like there's 2 leagues in Gibraltar, right? You've got the Premier Division and also the Championship kind of thing. Every game's played in that one park in the Astro.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's just shows you though. And of course we've got the manager of Darren's Athletic was a Gibraltar manager at one point, so we've got that kind of infamous memory.
I say I was when I was over there, I was talking to folk. There was a story that I think Lincoln Red Imps were playing Michelin. Was either Michelin or Northland, one of the Scandinavian teams, and the ball. I can't remember. I don't know if it's true. I just couldn't stop laughing when I heard this. The ball was on the runway or something. No, sorry. There was a plane coming into land, so I had to dim the floodlights for the plane to land, and the game got delayed at half time. I don't know if it's true or not. I need to look into it, but when I heard that, I could not stop laughing. But that just Gibraltar fit was a big thing for me. I do enjoy it. But
Rangers, they went there last season against St Joseph's, but and they won 4-0. When I expect the same here, I think Rangers will run riot.
I think it'll be maybe a 3 or 4 job. I think same again over there. Stronger team, I think. I feel, and it's just the Astrogras. It kind of.
I think as well. Like Rangers could easily put out a few of the kind of players who kind of come on and Saturday. I thought, do you know, I was quite impressed with on Saturday. The boy Bassey, the left back. I thought he looks pretty good. I think give him a run out. Give Barisic a rest because I think Barisic you need to wrap in cotton wool because he's such a good player. Give Bassey a run out, see what he's like. I think he's pretty good. even the likes of like Jones and Stewart, like I don't think they're going to feature much in the plans, but
No.
give them a chance, give them a run out and see what they're like. Like we know, I think Jones has been, obviously his attitude's probably the reason he's not playing, but I would say he's better. I'd say he's a better option than Brandon Barker. Like I would really say I've always been a Jordan Jones fan, but give these players a run out and see what they can do. But I'm predicting a very comfortable kind of 4 or 5 nothing win for Rangers on Thursday night.
I'm looking for the same, I think. But I think the touching just when we go into the Aberdeen game against Viking, I think that could be a bit of a...
It could be, aye.
Giggly peg for Aberdeen. I think that could be a bit of a dodgy one. No any information on that on Viking, but I don't know, I think it could be a potential. The coefficient could get another dump again for obviously Celtic going out the Champions League, dropping into Europa. They're still get their tie. But I think Aberdeen could potentially struggle. It's
a tough game, but I just think they're away. Then it could be a tough game. But
well, look at that. Go back to the Celtic game. The team for Hungary, they went with no fear at all and caused an upset. So I quite fancy if I'm on the counter, take Viking over Aberdeen.
I could be a tough game. I can see it being a banana skin for Aberdeen. Going away is never easy, especially going away to Norway. But I would say I would go 2-1 Aberdeen. I think Aberdeen will just have enough. I think.
I'm going to go 1-0 Viking. Just for the name.
It's a great name, isn't it?
It's good. But
Viking Stavanger.
Brilliant. I think when you go on the next one, obviously we've got Motherwell against Coleraine. Coleraine went to Maribor and got a result in penalties.
I know. That's actually a crazy result, isn't it? Like when you think about it.
Maribor the same. Well, Rangers obviously knocked them out a couple of years ago. They're in the same group as Liverpool in Europe, the Champions League. But fair play to them. That's what I quite like. These one-legged ties going over there, beating them in their own backyard. Team from Northern Ireland. Fair play to them. But no, I think Motherwell should.
They should have enough.
Should have enough to beat that, but you never know in these one-leg ties. I'd like to see Coleraine, obviously, just a boat trip over the water for them. It could be
Motherwell, they beat Glentoran in the first round, so they've beat a team in that league. I think Motherwell should win comfortably. Again, I've got a thing with Motherwell. Did they score enough goals up front? But I'd say Motherwell should probably win. Maybe I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0. I think 2-0 Alan Campbell, first goal.
I'm going to go 1-0. Motherwell, I think they might just get a wee saying up. I've got more faith in a Motherwell win than an Aberdeen win. Just with the way Aberdeen set up. But I think I'm going to go for if I was back out on the Rangers, Viking and Motherwell.
I can see it being a tough. Aberdeen have certainly got the toughest game, but it'd be some result for Derek McInnes to go there and to go to Norway and get a good result in Europe, because it's badly needed. But I mean, the teams Rangers and Celtic have done pretty well in Europe the past couple of years, but Aberdeen and Motherwell, they should be beating teams like that. They're better than teams like that, so they do need to get recognition. Especially, did you hear that Gary Breen's comments yesterday?
No.
About how he said about Shane Duffy's going to be up against no competition up here. I'm like that's just it. But these are the kind of reasons that's said. Like when Scottish teams have a bad result in Europe,
we've seen it in Saturday, nearly the stinker with obviously the long ball at the top. But,
I mean, it's just bad mouthing Scottish football. But I would say these are kind of the reasons why. So Gary Breen, that used to play with Stoke.
Never heard of him. So that's the least said about him. He kind of played for Stoke. He probably couldn't hack up here, so he can't send about our games. So.
But we'll move on as well. We'll look ahead to what's coming up next weekend. We'll be back again next Monday with the third episode. Me and Mark will be joined by another guest who we'll announce later in the week. They're buzzing about that, Mark, aren't you?
I say he's a bit of a character.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's not here. He's not here last week because of technical issues, but he will be here next week. And we're both buzzing to get him on the show.
Probably the biggest scouser for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, he's tremendous. He's just Rafa Benitez. He's just Rafa Benitez if Rafa Benitez was born in Alton Hill.
No, he is actually the double. To be fair, we did kind of say if you put Benitez together and who's the snooker player that Ben mentioned?
Dennis Taylor.
Dennis Taylor together, we've got from Bolton, so he does look like Dennis Taylor a bit. If you think Benitez,
Yeah.
Actually does look like Benitez. Actually looks like the chicken guy for Toy Story.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So
yeah, but we'll be joined by this very special guest, and these are the games we'll be running down. We'll start off with, I think that's a very tough game for Rangers. They go to Hibs, they go to Easter Road.
I'm no.
That's a tough game.
Probably Dundee United game would have been a potential banana skin, obviously that beef that I did then, but I think this is going to be a game that Rangers have to flex their muscles and a bit. If I go and win Stoke 10 in a row, they're going to have to go to these places.
Yeah, these are the games that Rangers will need to go and win. I think they will win it though. I think they'll be pretty confident. I'm going to go. I think the clean sheet record will come to an end. I think Hibs will score, but I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers. I think Rangers will win. Celtic are home at Livingston. Celtic as well. Again, it's going to be so easy. What's your prediction for the Rangers game?
Rangers game, I think Rangers will concede. I think there will be. I don't think they'll look like going to concede. I mean, they'll get John McLaughlin in nets. Looks sturdy.
I'm just touching on John McLaughlin quickly. See when McGregor gets back to full fitness, do you think McLaughlin comes straight out, McGregor goes straight in? Because I wouldn't change it.
I wouldn't change it. I think his distribution's better than McGregor's.
I feel for McGregor because I think McGregor's to me has been the greatest goalkeeper Rangers have had for many since Andy Gorham anyway. But
it goes back to the same token. If you're playing well in football, and somebody else, obviously the number one comes back fully fit, there's no. I wouldn't drop him. No,
I wouldn't drop him either. I think, but I do think that I can see this being the hardest game Rangers have played so far. I think I'm going to go 2-1 though. I think Rangers have got enough, and I think
there will be defence, a wee bit of a shake, maybe obviously replacing Nisbet and Martin Boyd.
Nisbet and Doidge, I think could be very, very tough. Could be very, very tough opponents, but they've been pretty solid Rangers. But I think Hibs have got the chance. Hibs will create chances because Hibs will be one of the few teams that will cause Rangers problems going forward.
I'm going to go 2-0 Rangers.
2-0. Right, we'll go with the next game. We'll look at Celtic against Livingston. What we got?
I could score with 4 or 5. I think.
4-0. I'm going for 4-0.
I'll go 5 for them. I don't think Livingston got enough in the tank to even get a sniff at goal. If you got Anthony Stokes up, and they're not really asking for much goal mouth action for him, but especially if I get to keep it around, like I mentioned earlier. But I'm going to go 4 or 5 Celtic. 4-0,
right? We'll agree with that. Another big game on Sunday. Rangers playing Sunday, but the big game after that's Aberdeen Motherwell. I could see that's been very, very close. I could see a draw here, 1 each. I'm going for.
I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. I think it'll be pretty. McInnes will put the shiters up him again, and we'll just sit back. That's what I don't get. He plays one decent game, one good, one bad, but I think he'll Mr. Negative. I'm so glad the Rangers never got him in the end up. Not for me. I'm not a big fan of him, but I'm going to that.
So we're agreeing we'll go by draw there? Right, we'll move on to Dundee United against St Mirren. I'm going to go Dundee United 2-0 and Dundee United will win. I think they'll get a win on the board.
Mickey Mill mix up a bit. I've said at the start, St Mirren's probably the favourites to go down, I think. They're not enough for me, but I think Dundee United should get a result at home.
Kilmarnock Hamilton.
Yeah, it's going to be a Kelly win for me.
I think Kelly will win, yeah.
Down 2-1 Kelly. I think Hamilton will score. But I think Kelly should come enough to get enough in the locker to push it over for a few points that will be back.
I'm going to go 1-0 Kilmarnock. I just think they'll over a bit more. I think they'll probably feel hard done by they're sitting 10th in the league with only 5 points, but I think this will be the start of a kind of wee run for Kilmarnock. They've got a couple of kind of pretty good games coming up after that. And the last game, St Johnstone against Ross County, I'm going to go for a draw, 1 each. I think Ross County could potentially get a wee kind of give St Johnstone a hard game. I'm going to go 1 each.
I'm going to go 1-0 Ross County away. The day show me bits going forward, I think, but I don't. Just St Johnstone don't really. I don't know. There's something with them I'm not really put my finger on. I'm not a big fan of them, but I'm going to go for a Ross County win, 1-0 for that one.
Right. That's us for this week. We will be back next week with our very special guest, and we will run down all the games we just spoke about. And as well as that, we'll have another top 10 that we'll kind of announce later on in the week. Mark, thanks very much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it.
No, anytime, no problem. Look forward to next week.
Brilliant. And we'll see you next week. Thanks very much, everyone.